Margaret.
And this is Colleen.
And
we're the Cousins Weird. Hi.
Hi.
We're here.
Kind of on schedule, but we're a little late because I ended
But
up...
this will be out on Monday, so that's all that matters.
And I took a little longer with my research took longer than I expected because this ended up being
bigger than you thought.
Yeah, it's like one story leads into another. It was supposed to be about the second part of this, but in order to fully explain the second part, I have to do the first part.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense. So I have to give you, it's like a lot of backstory to get to the end. So, but it's fun and I'm excited about it.
What's new? Anything?
I'm ready for fall.
Me too. Super fall-tastic. Bring it. And I saw this week the weather is supposed to be like 70s, low 70s and 60s. Thank you.
And you know what's funny?
Thank you.
Like 3 years ago, low 70s would have been like, ugh, it's too hot. Now that we had hell here in New York State, and it was in the 90s for weeks on end, I'm like, I'm done. I'm going to move to frickin' Hudson Bay in Canada and deal with mosquitoes the size of softballs to not have 90 degrees.
I don't want either. Do I have to pick one or the other? Because I don't want either. Where can I go that doesn't have those?
I'll just dip myself in DEET.
Okay, that's true. DEET myself right up.
I might end up with birth defects, but you know, I'm done having babies. I should be fine.
Yeah, I'm so excited for fall. I'm so excited for fun fall activities.
Yes.
I'm super excited for spooky season.
We've already planned my sister's because Hocus Pocus 2 is coming out.
Yeah, so we're having a witches weekend.
To have a witches weekend down where my sister lives, which is near Watkins Glen area. It's going to be so much fun.
We're going to have wine tasting, and we're going to dress witchy and go out and cackle.
I am so excited.
So am I. I can't wait to do it.
I already found a pattern for a crocheted witch's hat.
Of course she did.
And I'm going to make that.
I got to find, there was these felt hats that were really cool. They had like little felted mushrooms on them.
Cute.
That I found at like a while back, and I thought, I need to get one of these, and I don't think I saved where I saw it.
But watch it be like, because the first time we did Wizarding Weekend in Ithaca, back before we knew J.K. Rowling was a freaking bigoted twat.
Which makes me so sad.
We did Wizarding Weekend in Ithaca.
Yeah.
This is before they got their cease and desist from Warner Brothers
about
using Wizarding Weekend as a thing. And I was so excited. I knit myself dragon scale gauntlets. I crocheted. I was ready. It was freaking like 70 degrees, and I was sweating with my long skirt and my stripy knit socks and my gauntlets. And I was just like, I can't. I look cool.
But I feel hot.
Do as you think.
And not in a good way.
It's going to be October. It's going to be fall. No, it was hot. And it'll probably,
October
I just hope
does that.
You never know. It could be 80 degrees at Halloween, or it could snow.
Yeah, that's literally what the weather pattern is in Northern New York. So if you're in Northern New Yorker, you know our pain. If you're not, you have no clue what kind of bipolar bitch Mother Nature is up here.
I know for sure. Oh my God.
She can go from hotter than hell to bitter, bitter cold. Like there's no...
Like freeze your nipples off.
Yeah. Like like in those in between months, like that fall and spring months, you never know what's going to hit you.
You know.
And you have to be prepared either way. So.
Yep.
Yeah, super excited. We have plans for a special Halloween episodes.
Yeah, we're
going to have I think we're going to roll into that probably sooner than October, like our spooky episodes, I think.
We got a wonderful message from Anthony today.
Yes, thank you, Anthony.
We love you.
We think you're the best.
Yes, we love that you're enjoying the podcast.
And he's all caught up and listened to all our episodes, and that makes our little freaky hearts thrilled.
It does. Makes them go pitter-pat.
Yes, so we appreciate you.
Thank you, Anthony. We love you.
Yes.
All right, anything else?
I don't got anything.
All right, so into my episode.
Okay,
today.
let's do it.
It's a long one. I apologize ahead of time. No, I don't.
No, you don't.
Today, I'm going to be talking about Jack Parsons and the Devil's Gate Dam in Pasadena, California. It's in the Arroyo Seco riverbed.
Okay.
But first, we're going to talk a little bit about Mr. Parsons. Born Marvel Whiteside Parsons II. Right?
Wow, that's a name.
Marvel. He was born October 2nd of 1914 in Los Angeles, California. His parents, Marvel Sr. and Ruth Whiteside, ended up getting divorced like a year after he was born in 1915.
Wow, I didn't know you could do that.
I know. This was due to infidelity on Marvel Sr.'s part. He liked to have sex with
anyone else but his wife?
He liked to pay for it.
Oh, okay. Well, at least he was paying.
And she wasn't happy. I wouldn't be either.
I don't know, because you don't know what diseases he's bringing home, number one.
If anybody.
Yeah.
Anyone. I don't know. It's almost like if he's paying a sex worker, it's not as intimate. It's just like a transaction.
Right.
But if he had like a lover, like somebody that's like
right.
Physical, like emotional
attachment.
But still.
Yeah.
No. Don't ever do that.
Don't be dirty.
Yes. So, after this, Ruth refused to call her son Marvel because she hated her husband. Yeah. So she called him John, which turned into Jack. So his name is Marvel, and then John, and she's like, "Oh, we'll just call him Jack as a nickname." I go, technically, John is a nickname.
I know, right?
People are weird.
Yeah.
All right. So he has like 3 names, even though Jack isn't his real name, but Jack Parsons. His dad ended up returning to Massachusetts, and he was forbidden any contact with his son. He ended up remarrying, so you know. Ruth's parents, who were wealthy, they moved to California to be with their daughter and their grandson, and they bought a house on Orange Grove Boulevard in Pasadena. This boulevard is known as the Millionaire's Mile.
Okay.
So this is
swanky
Millionaire's Mile in 1915.
Swanky.
Yeah, this is where all the rich people, all the mansions are there.
Right.
You know? They all lived in this house, which is probably a mansion, together, surrounded by servants. And it was like, he was like a lonely child. He didn't have a lot of friends. He basically immersed himself in books, which sounds a lot like Ludwig in the same idea.
Right, kind of fairy tale.
Right. He loved mythology. He loved Arthurian legends. He loved Arabian Nights. He also loved the works of Jules Verne. And this generated his interest in science fiction. And he loved like reading the Pulp Fiction novels. But he was obsessed with like rockets and going into outer space.
Ooh. Because
of these novels he was reading. And it was all science fiction. It wasn't like anything. This can never happen. It's fake. He's like, maybe not.
But could it?
But could it, yes. So he's in his own world, you know, at home. When he was 12, he was attending Washington Junior High School. He didn't do very well due to his... One author said he had undiagnosed dyslexia, and that's why he struggled in school.
Okay.
And he was bullied by the older students.
Aww.
He was a genius, this kid. Was super duper smart, and that might be why he didn't do well in schools, because he was bored.
Right.
Like, he just was like...
It's not...
And if he had a slight learning disability with dyslexia, it's probably why he was just like...
Why bother?
I don't need... You don't... I'm smarter than you.
Yeah.
Know? But nobody...
I could teach this class.
Nobody thought that at the time. They just thought he was just like...
A big dummy.
Yeah. It was also around this time that he became friends with a boy named Edward Foreman. He was also obsessed with science fiction and rocketry. He was also a blue collar kid.
Okay,
like his parents were working class. He's not in the same social class at all. No. These boys would get together and they would conduct their own experiments in the Arroyo Seco riverbed canyon. This Arroyo Seco is where he likes to be. It's a desert. This is where the Devil's Gate Dam was built. And the Devil's Gate Dam was built a couple of years before he was born. But this area, he becomes obsessed with this area. This is where he does most of his rocket experiments when he's a kid.
The thought of being in a desert doesn't excite me, but whatever floats your boat.
They would use homemade gunpowder-based rockets. They would...
That's not dangerous for a
they
little
would
kid.
hold these... They would sometimes do these in his back garden at his house. And they made their rockets using easily attainable fireworks, glue, and aluminum foil. So I'm sure that there were a few explosions in their backyard. And I'm sure his parents hated that. But he was also, as a young kid, he was dabbling in occultism. And I guess he supposedly performed a ritual in his bedroom to invoke the devil. And he thought it worked, and he was terrified to sleep in his room for a long time. And he stopped doing, he was still interested, but he wasn't, practicing at that point. But we're going to go forward a little bit. 1929, he started at John Muir High School. But due to bad grades, he was doing really poorly. His mother ended up sending him to the private school of Brown Military Academy for Boys in San Diego. But remember, this boy likes to play with explosives.
Right.
He's really smart. He got expelled because he blew up the toilets. Which made me giggle. I'm like, you go, boy. He's like, oh no, I'm not having this shit. He's
I'm not staying here.
They are going to kick me out. I'm going to make sure if they like, blew the toilets up, they're like, go away. Bye. The family, at this point, they moved to San Rafael Avenue. This was the start of the Great Depression. And even though they were wealthy, like their wealth was probably mostly investments.
I was gonna say, yeah.
And they started to see their wealth decline.
Right.
Like everybody did. So they had to move. Their fortunes are starting to dwindle. His grandfather, Walter, passed away in 1931. And this was kind of like when things started to get worse for the family. He was then enrolled in an unconventional school. And this school is called the University High School. It's still open now.
Oh.
It's a public school. And it was named this because students from UCLA worked there as interns and as teachers and assistant teachers. And because there's so many young new teachers there, they adopted different teaching styles that were really unconventional. And like, this is where his genius came through.
Oh, I bet. He
was the editor of the school paper. And he focused his academics on chemistry. This is when he really, because he's already experimenting with explosives.
So he's taken off.
Yeah, now. So he's like, I need to know more. I need to know why these work. And so like, he's really like, it's a hands-on, it's a different type of learning environment. So he's doing really well. And the teachers, because they're younger and they're more innovative, they're like, oh, this kid's really smart. Let's see what we can do to help him.
Right.
Because, like, why his grades aren't great, but he's really smart.
We see that
he started to, like, get better grades. He was doing really well. He also got a part-time job at the Hercules Powder Company.
Hercules.
And it's the powder company. We're talking, like, gunpowder.
Oh, God.
Yes.
That's not good.
And this helped him and Foreman with their experiments in rocket propulsion with stolen materials he stole from the plant he worked at. Yeah. Because he's a teenager. Mm-hmm. So, he's stealing gunpowder and he's bringing it home and they're making...
He's like, I'm going to make shit with this.
Rocket jet propulsion experiments. This is a teenager, right? God. It's crazy. They even built a solid fuel rocket engine. And they were corresponding, they were corresponding with leading rocket engineers. I'm going to give you some names, and I have no idea who these people are because I'm not a rocket scientist. Okay. Werner Van Braun, Willy Ley, Herman Oberth, Robert Goddard, and Konstantin Tsiolkovsky.
Oh.
Some of these are, like, not even in America. Like, he's corresponding with people in other countries.
In, like, Russia and shit.
Yeah, because, I mean, that's just how genius he was. He was brilliant. He graduated high school in 1933, and he enrolled in Pasadena Junior College, but he ended up having to drop out because he had financial difficulties. So he's like, I can't afford it right now. He started working full-time at the powder company. He was eventually sent to work at their factory in Hercules, California.
Hercules! Every time.
Yes. At this point, he was earning $100 a month, which was really good pay at the time. That would be equivalent to about $2,279.05 in today's money per month, which, now it seems like that's not a lot, but at the time we're talking in the Depression.
Yeah, that's probably
so $100 a month was like good money. He hoped to save money and eventually go back to school. He eventually did enroll in Stanford to get a degree in chemistry, and he had to again drop out because he couldn't afford the tuition. I mean, the fact that he got into Stanford says a lot.
Yeah.
Like, of this kid's smartness. He ended up moving back to Pasadena, and he really wanted to go to Caltech because they had the facilities that he wanted to use for his rocket experiments, right? And it's it's like a high-end school, like, everybody's heard of Caltech. Especially if you watch Big Bang Theory, that's where Sheldon went.
Uh-huh.
They all worked there.
Yeah, they worked at Caltech.
Think brainy. He went to a lot of lectures there that were held by different engineers. And he was eventually introduced to a Frank Molina. And Molina, he was a PhD. He's getting his doctorate. He was like a smart guy going to Caltech in applied physics, I think.
Sure.
Like, sure, that
sounds fancy to me.
Melina, Parsons, and Foreman applied to Caltech for funding, and their ultimate goal was to develop a rocket engine to take them into space. And people are like, are you crazy? You're living in a fantasy world.
Yeah.
You know, that's like people saying, I want to get money so I can build a time machine. That's the way they thought about it.
Which I still think that can happen too.
Wormholes.
Yes.
You know, they were denied at first, but they kept trying different people. They eventually found a professor who allowed them to work under GALCIT, which stands for Guggenheim Aeronautical Laboratory.
Okay.
They were known as the GALCIT Rocket
Why is that funny to me?
Group. So the GALCIT RRG. Parsons was the chemist, and he had no formal education in chemistry. Like
it's funny to me that his name's Parsons
and Jim
Parsons.
I know. That's the whole time I'm thinking. I'm like, he's like Sheldon in real life.
Yes,
he's not. When you get into, we'll get there. You'll be like, oh yeah, no, he's not.
Because I love me some Sheldon.
Foreman was the machinist, and he's the blue collar guy, right? He was the one who was good at building machines. Parsons was the one who was like playing with gunpowder chemistry stuff. Melina was the technical theoretician. I'm saying that wrong. And he's like the PhD candidate. He's the one who's actually going to Caltech.
Okay.
As a student, where the other two guys are not.
Okay.
Not that Parsons couldn't.
He just didn't have the money.
Right. They were all socialist leaning, and this is pre-World War II, you know. They were anti-capitalist and were known to drink and smoke marijuana together.
Oh my God, they seem like they'd be good friends of mine.
Just wait.
Not yet.
Not yet.
After a while, I'll change my mind.
Like, I've had enough of this. Right. In 1935, Jack married a woman called Helen Northrup. He's now at this point, he still has his group that get together and they do their experiments, but he's working at the Halifax Powder Company in Saugus, California. All of his money went into funding his GALCIT project. So any money he made, he didn't pay his bills or anything with that.
How did he survive?
I think that his wife worked too. I mean, they were struggling. They didn't have to be struggling.
He just,
because all the money, extra money he had went to fund all of his experiments and stuff, his research.
So which one is this that married?
This is Jack.
Oh, Parsons. This is Parsons.
Yep.
Okay.
Sometimes I say Jack and sometimes I say Parsons.
I just missed what name you said, that's all.
He was frequently asked Helen's family for loans. And at this point, he had also started making nitroglycerin in their home on their front porch.
Oh, good. That's safe.
Okay, and I'm going to go a little bit. Nitroglycerin is one of the most powerful explosives, and if not manufactured correctly, it can overheat, releasing poisonous nitrogen dioxide gas, which can explode, and it must be mixed slowly and cooled with water. What the fuck, Jack?
On your front porch, because that's real controlled.
Yes. So he doesn't want to buy. So he's making his own nitroglycerin at this point, because, you know, he can't afford.
I don't want to hang out with a stone Jack.
He's drinking, and he's smoking pot, and he's making nitroglycerin on his porch.
Never mind, don't want to be friends with you.
I said, you just wait, Kelly. You don't, just hold off a minute. Don't go over to his house. If he calls you and wants you to come over for dinner, leave him out. Don't go there. No. This group continued their experiments. They eventually had some success, and more scientists joined their group, and the group became known as the Suicide Squad on the campus.
Before they were the OG Suicide Squad.
And Parsons was even called an expert witness in the car bombing trial of Earl Kynette.
Oh.
So he was an officer, and he was like, he put a car bomb and he killed people. And he was an expert. Yeah, they called him as an expert witness.
Neat.
By 1938, most of the GALCIT group had left due to not being paid. They weren't getting any money, and we
need to make money.
And only the original 3 members remained. So, like, they had a bunch of people come in the group.
Because they're like, this is cool.
Yeah, and then eventually they all kind of like, I have other things I gotta do. And,
with my life.
You know, they're like looking at Jack, and he's spending all of his money into funding with this group, and they're like, yeah, we're out.
We can't do this.
Yeah. In the beginning of 1939, the siblings, John and Frances Baxter, took Jack to their church.
Okay.
The Church of Thelema. In case you were wondering,
I am.
the founder and head of this church is Aleister Crowley.
Okay.
Yeah. And Jack had already read his book called Conks Pax. So he was already familiar with the teachings, I'm using that in quotation marks, from Aleister Crowley. And now there's a church of his in California, and his friends like, come to this church with us, this group. They're not calling it church, they're just a group. Yeah. He becomes obsessed.
Of course he does.
With this. So it's like he's got an obsessive personality already. He continued to attend the church and read Crowley's works, and he came to the belief that thelemic magic could be explained through quantum physics. Because he's like, this makes sense to me, because he's a physicist and a chemist, and he's like, quantum physics, this is all they tie together. Right. So he thought, like, the path to this, like, to the raise up in this religion, you could do it through quantum physics. So it made sense, and he thought it was like, this is real. Yeah. Right. Like, this is all
He explained it through science.
Right. Exactly. Him and his wife, Helen, both ended up joining the church.
Of course they did.
Yes. And Jack was the first pick as successor to Crowley as what they would call the outer head of the church, is what the head of the church is called, the outer head. Okay. Yeah, because they're weird. Also happening at the same time, the military granted the Rocket Research Group from Galset $1,000 in 1939. And this is for their proposal of a jet-assisted takeoff, JATO, J-A-T-O. Okay. This is a feasibility proposal, and they actually got money for it. And the Galset Group would eventually receive $10,000 from the AIAA, the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, to research solid fuels for jet propulsion. So they're like, we need to get in with the military, because they're the ones who are going to want to use this. Right. Researching, not just like they're selling it as jet propulsion for planes, but they're in their brains, they're like, no, this is what's going to get us to space. And they weren't wrong. Like, NASA would not be what it is without that research, without the research that these guys did. So I mean, they really are the grandfathers of like rocket science for sure. There were other before them, but they're the ones that actually made it work. Right. It can be noted that 25% of this $10,000 grant went to repairs to Caltech buildings that they were damaged by their experiment. So they're experimenting at Caltech and blowing shit up. Blowing their buildings up. Like, they get this grant, and then 25% of it immediately has to go to repair the college campus. Yeah. So, which is, I thought was kind of funny.
That is funny.
They did a lot. They eventually submitted a request to NAS for $100,000. This is the aerospace something. I didn't write that one down. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
For $100,000. And then they received $22,000, which is fine, you know. It was at this point that they relocated to the Arroyo Seco riverbed, and they founded the JPL, which is the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Okay. So they're in the desert, which is where you should be if you're going to experiment with things that explode. Don't do it around other people.
In a building.
Do it in the desert.
On your porch.
Right. Their experiments were featured on the cover of the August 1940 edition of Popular Mechanics. Oh. So they were all on the cover, which is cool. And they had a whole article about them. Sweet. Yeah. This is also located in the narrow riverbed canyon of the Arroyo Seco, is a dam known as the Devil's Gate. Yeah. This is because of a natural rock formation located at the dam's entrance that resembles a horned devil. Like, they built this, there's a bridge and a dam, and the entrance of the dam on the side is this natural rock that looks like a big devil's face with horn.
Great.
So,
let's build a dam where devil's face is. That's great.
Because that's natural, right?
Yeah, you should totally do that. You should disrupt the devil's head, yes.
And this is kind of like where we merge the two, or merging the two stories here. In 1941, Jack started a sexual relationship with Helen's 17-year-old sister.
Jack, you're sick!
And the age of consent in California is 18 at this point. So he's in an illegal relationship.
Dirty with his wife's sister too. Yes. Dirty man.
And
I don't like it.
His wife had gone away to visit somebody, and when she came back, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm with your sister now." And his sister declared herself to be Jack's new wife. She's like, "Oh no, I'm his new wife." honey.
That's not how that works.
That is not how that works.
And if I were her sister, I would throw a punch
I mean,
her.
Helen was confused, but she, like, sought solace in the arms of Wilford Smith. And Wilford Smith is the current head of the Thelemic Order.
Okay.
Like, he's, like, the church in California. He's, like, the lead guy.
Oh.
Right? So starts a sexual
right
relationship with him. No.
Oh, it's like he's dead, right?
So, yeah, she's in a sexual relationship with him.
She's
but
like,
they're all friends. But,
so you're gonna sleep with my little sister, my literal baby sister. I'll just go to this dude. That's fine.
And they're all friends still.
Oh
Not only that, they eventually started the Thelemic
orgy.
Well, we get to that.
Oh, I knew that had to come into play sometime.
They started a commune.
Of course
in
they
a mansion
did.
on South Orange Boulevard. Of course. So, like, they buy a house in South Orange Boulevard, and they all get together, and they start their own
cult.
Communal living.
Cult.
Yes. Here. But that cult was already established, but they brought it out a little more.
They made it more culty.
This new house would be the lodge. They called it
cult.
The lodge. Yeah. And they raised their own animals for meat and to sacrifice in the rituals that they would have for their religion. Because they do sacrifice.
What?
Animal sacrifice is part of Aleister Crowley's thing. Blood sacrifice. They need blood. Blood and semen are things that he likes.
Of course he does.
For his thing. Yeah, that's what you need for magic, is gross stuff. He also put in, when they were redoing this mansion, he put in his own chemical lab in the house.
Oh, good.
And
blow that
one
up.
thing that this religion is, they call upon Pan, the god Pan, a lot. So he had, like, a lot of statues of Pan around the house, because that's one of the gods that they worship in this religion. Parsons was, at this point, giving most of his money that he made to the OTO. And that's what they call this. This is the Agape Lodge of the Thelemic Order.
Okay.
And the OTO stands for Ordo Templi Orientis.
Okay.
OTO is way easier.
Yes,
so,
please.
Yes, the OTO, we'll say it.
You know I can't say it right.
Yeah.
Anyway. So.
And he was known to perform rituals to the god Pan. Before any of his rocket tests, he would perform these rituals. So the people that he's working with, not all of them are in his religion. And they're like, this guy's freaking fruitcake.
He's fucking nuts.
Yeah, they're like, he's like making these weird rituals and saying these weird words. And like, I mean, it's a thing. It's like it's a ritual.
Right.
Like, we're not just talking like, he's like.
An experiment.
And some of the rituals, I will get into that in a minute.
Oh, Jesus.
The lodge would be investigated. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in this mansion, their lodge. There's lots of stuff going on.
I'm sure there is.
They would eventually be investigated due to allegations of black magic, naked orgies, and the alleged sexual assault of a 16-year-old boy.
Nope.
But none of these allegations could be verified, and a lot of it was probably due to nosy neighbors who were like, oh, they're doing terrible stuff over there. Because they're seeing they're not Christian. They're doing weird shit. Oh, there was a 16-year-old boy that got sexually assaulted, but there was no proof of that. Nobody ever came forward with that. It was all like...
Okay. I don't have a problem. You want to do?
I'm sure they were doing magic rituals.
I don't care.
They were running around naked. They were having a lot of sex.
I'm fine with that.
And the neighbors
all consensual.
Like that.
It's okay,
right? But the neighbors didn't like
so
it.
They just threw that out there.
Embellished.
Okay.
It might have happened. I don't know. There was no. I couldn't find any.
Well, we don't know what happened.
So
he did have sex with a 16-year-old.
He did. Yes. Parsons was now in the habit of using cocaine, amphetamines, peyote, mescaline, opiates, along with his heavy use of alcohol and marijuana. So he's dabbling in everything at this point.
I guess he is.
He's also having a lot of sex with a lot of women.
You're gonna get
he believes in an open relationship. Like he's
that's totally fine.
His wife and him eventually do get divorced. But I mean, they're separated for a long time before that happens. And I think a lot of that, the divorce is because she ends up wanting to get married to the Smith guy.
Right. And I really think, honestly, I think that if you want an open relationship, that's super cool, as long as the person you're in the relationship with is consensual
He's
to that.
He's okay with it until...
the other person wants it?
Yeah.
And then you can't have it both ways, sir.
I mean, he lets her, but he gets mad.
Yeah. But you can't have it both ways, my friend.
We're getting to the interesting...
Sorry.
We're going to get to another interesting part, and you'll be like, what? Okay. So in 1942, Crowley Another name that a lot of people called Crowley, Aleister Crowley, they called him the Great Beast. A lot of that has to do with his Satan worship, so supposedly. He would replace Smith as the head of the order with Jack. So he doesn't want Smith to be the head anymore. Okay. He wants Jack to be the head. And how he did it was Smith, at this point, Helen and Jack get divorced. She marries Smith. She gets pregnant. Actually, she gets pregnant before she gets married. So she has a baby with Smith, but his last name is Parsons.
Because she was married to...
Right. Yeah. And when Crowley does the birth chart for this baby, he basically says this baby is the next coming, like basically the Antichrist.
Oh!
And that means that Smith is technically a god. So what he did was he made Smith tattoo the number 666 on his forehead and go on a year-long sabbatical in the desert as a spiritual journey. And then he made Jack the head of the order because that's what he wanted to do. So he's like, I know how to do this without ruffling feathers. I'll tell this guy he's basically a god on earth because, and he did it all. It was all maneuvering.
It was a manipulation.
To make Jack the head.
Yeah.
So this guy goes out. And then when he comes back, Jack's like, Jack didn't want him to do that. Like, Jack was not for this move. Like, Jack didn't want to be the head, but he's like, oh no.
You have to be.
You have to be the head, right? Because it's like,
Jesus
they
Christ.
changed their names. Yeah, it's like ridiculous. Jack also began renting rooms in the mansion to non-members. And people that are part of the church don't like this idea.
Right.
But I think a lot of it was he wanted money. So, like, there's extra rooms. He's going to rent them out. One of the people, this is in the 40s, 1942. You'll never believe who one of the people is he rents rooms to.
I won't. Tell me.
He's at the time, he was mostly known for being a science fiction author. He was in the Navy.
Is it, what's his face? It wrote,
Think Dianetics, Colleen.
Oh! Shit!
L. Ron Hubbard. L. Ron Hubbard.
Surprise, surprise.
Yes, but I don't think he'd written Dianetics yet.
Oh.
He rents a room here, and he gets like, Jack and him are instant friends, right?
Yeah, they're both
he's buddying up with L. Ron Hubbard, yeah. And Sarah, who is the sister that is with Jack, she's his partner, but they have an open relationship. She becomes enamored with L. Ron Hubbard. With anybody who's seen pictures, ew, he is vile. Even when he was young, he was gross. Okay, Jack is adorable. When you see pictures of him, you'd be like, he's adorable. He's really cute. And especially for the time, he's like, looks like a movie star kind of, like Clark Gable. You know what I mean? He's got that look.
My phone died. Darn it.
But she ends up in a relationship with Hubbard, right? Because you. But, you know, from what I mean, you don't become the leader of I'm going to say cult because I think Scientology is technically a cult.
Yes,
you can come at me. I don't care.
Yeah. Scientology will come at you too. That's the thing.
They probably will. I don't care. He was charismatic, and that's something that him and Jack kind of had at the same time. But I don't think Jack had it to the point. Jack was a genius,
but he probably was a little awkward.
He was right. Like he didn't.
He is very handsome.
He's really a handsome guy.
Wow, that one picture. Woo!
Why would you give that? I mean, he was crazy. He was
nuts.
A little unstable, I would say. I mean, you could say that emotionally unstable, and he worked with unstable products. So
yeah,
I can see, like, you want a little stability, but L. Ron Hubbard.
Ugh, and L. Ron Hubbard is hideous.
He is horrible.
I've never seen a picture of him young. Oh. He is not a good-looking man.
No, he was never a good-looking person. Never. I don't understand. Okay.
And Jack is hot.
He is so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally digging that. Okay. Sorry.
At this point, Jack's delving into black magic and performing rituals to invoke spirits. He was imbuing the different statues in the lodge with magical energy. Ooh. And I mean, he's like doing crazy shit that's above what most of the people in the church are used to or comfortable with. So they're all getting nervous. They're like, why did we make him head of the church? He's like lost his mind. He started having rituals at the Devil's Gate Dam. He's like,
well, it's the Devil's Head.
There's a Devil's Gate. So there's energy here. We need to harness this energy. One of the things he supposedly, and it was like, Richard Metzger was one of the people that was involved with his experiments and stuff. said that he was practicing Enochian magic, and he would masturbate onto magical tablets while listening to Sergei Prolikhev's Second Violin Concerto in G
Which
minor.
ones did this? Jack was?
Jack did this.
Oh boy,
he would,
Jack.
As part of Enochian, and it's funny, I think Enochian magic, I automatically go to supernatural.
Oh, yeah.
So he's like, Jack Parsons jerked off in the name of spiritual advancement, this guy said. And I'm like,
no,
but that's
I guess that's what you do.
Blood, and he used gin.
I'd rather you doing that than killing an animal.
Oh, for sure.
Jack off all
You're
day long. I don't
that
care.
Anyway, but he was constantly masturbating while he was doing rituals onto things, and it's just like, dude, there's too much. It's too much.
It's too much, man.
He's way too extra.
You need to reel that in a bit. You're hot, but you're not that hot.
It's like, calm it down, bud.
Your hotness isn't going to wipe that away.
No. It wasn't long after he did this huge ritual, and I guess the ritual at this dam, we're talking, it was in 1946 in February, the final ritual at the dam. It was to bring the Thelemite goddess Babylon to Earth in human form. This was his goal. He was doing all these rituals, and then the final one, he comes home, and it wasn't long after this that this woman named Marjorie Cameron arrived at the lodge, and Jack immediately was like, she is the incarnation of Babylon. Like, he was obsessed with her. She comes in, she's interested in what they're doing.
Right.
She doesn't really know what they're doing, but she's beautiful, and he's just like...
What's her name again?
Her name is Marjorie Cameron.
I have to look her up, because that's what now I'm turning into Margaret. She does this, too.
And
listen to me spelling it out.
And I would say, when I say they, it was mostly Jack, but they were performing sex magic rituals.
You said she was an actress.
I think...
It said she's an American actress on here.
Marjorie Cameron in the 40s. She might have been. No, she was a...
Professionally used as American artist, poet, actress, occultist.
Yes.
So she was a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's different. You can see that she's very artistic looking.
They were performing sex magic rituals. Basically, they met each other and they spent like 2 weeks in his room having sex.
I could see her doing that.
Doing sex rituals with them.
Oh, good for you. No shame.
And the goal of the sex magic was of creating the Thelemic Messiah.
It's all Thelemic business.
It's the
I know. I don't like it.
It's the type of it's what they call it.
I don't have anything against, you want to do magic and you want to jack off on things and you want to have sex rituals, but this whole, I don't like that.
It's culty.
It's very culty.
They married about a year after they met.
Okay.
But she was his wife till he died, which wasn't, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Too. Obviously, he works with explosives.
Yeah, so
I can tell where this is going.
Life expectancy isn't very good.
At this point, I'd like to note that Sarah Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard and Jack, they co-founded a company called Allied Enterprises, in which Jack invested his whole life savings of $20,970, right? You can see this going. L. Ron Hubbard's involved.
Yes.
They were going to purchase... This was their idea, and I think it was Hubbard's idea. They're going to purchase they're going to go down to Miami. Oh. Because they're in California. They're going to go to Miami. They're going to buy some yachts, and they're going to sail them to the West Coast through the Panama Canal, and then they're going to sell them for a profit. And that's how they're going to invest their money.
Okay.
Right? And so, the reality of this was, L. Ron Hubbard took a bunch of the money.
Of course he did.
Money, and Sarah, and they ran off to Miami together.
Fuckers.
Yep. And then Jack gets nervous because they're down there with half the money.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to go down and see what they're doing.
Right.
Because at first, oh, no, we're fine. And then he starts to get nervous.
He's like, wait a minute.
So he goes to Miami, and they're on the yachts, and they don't want to come back. But then something happened, and they ended up getting, the government got involved, and they got pulled back. And he talked to Sarah, and he's like, I'm going to sue him for the money that he owes me for these freaking yachts, because you guys are trying to screw me over.
Yeah.
And she's like, you can do that, but then I'm going to go to California and tell them you had sex with me when I was 17 and it was illegal. And he ended up settling for $2,900. So, they basically stole his money.
So how old was she at this point?
She was, I didn't do the math. She wasn't 17 anymore, though. She was probably in her early 20s.
Okay, so it wasn't like 7. I was wondering if this... I don't know what a statute of limitations is at the time.
Oh, it was probably just a few years. I don't think it was that long. One thing to note, some of the fundamentals of the OTO religion, and even, like, anybody who's watched Leah Remini's Scientology thing, it's all acronyms, like operate is an OT, and then there's... You know, like all these
weird.
Yes, and the word thetan they use sounds like thelemic. It's so similar, like a lot, and the principles. So
he basically stole that too.
Basically, he said some of the fundamentals of OTO were having to move up in levels, where
just
every
like
level
Scientology
teaches you more things that you can know about the religion and about the final end.
Right, and
you have to pay to move up.
Oh, just like Scientology.
Yes. So
same thing.
Jim
Parsons.
His relationship with Jack Parsons is
why
you can blame Jack for freaking Scientology.
You little cute fucker. Thanks a lot for your. Well, you can rockets and Scientology.
Exactly. But the whole thing that he stole yachts, like, this is when he started his religion. He basically stole his girl, stole his money, and started Scientology, is basically
he's a fucker, and he's hideous.
He is.
And he's a horrible person, and Scientology's terrible, and I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if you try to stalk me down and kill me for saying that. It's a terrible thing.
They're not nice people.
No, they're not good people.
Not unless there probably are Scientologists who are nice, but the people at the upper levels.
I'm people that get sucked in and completely used.
Right.
I'm not blaming them. I'm blaming the people that know better.
So at this point, Jack's gone a little crazy. He's doing all these weird rituals. He's
probably on a lot of drugs,
all his money in his church. So. You know, the FBI is getting nervous about Jack. Because they're involved, because he's working with the military.
He's working with the military, and you have a cult.
And we're talking, like, World War II has happened, you know, and it's like, he helps them with different rocket launches and missiles and things like that. I mean, this was him helping the government win the war, you know, with his inventions and things, right? But by 1951, the FBI revoked his security clearance due to associations with possible communists. I mean, he was open about his socialist tendencies anyway. His views, so he's friends with people who are open communists, and this is when the Cold War is beginning. And they're like, oh, no, we're not having that. You can't be a communist and be part of the military. Goodbye. So it made, without having the security clearance, he basically couldn't be making rockets for the military. So, like, them taking the security clearance away made it so he couldn't do what he wanted to do. So, what he ended up doing after this, because he couldn't do that, he started working for a special effects company making explosive for films. Because now we're getting into more advanced...
modern times.
Yes, we're in the 50s.
They're going to start doing Plan 9 from outer space.
Yes. On June 17th of 1952, in his home lab... while working on a large order for an upcoming film, there was an accident. Something happened. No. It caused a huge explosion, and this was like a mercury-based thing.
That's not good.
It destroyed the whole bottom part of the building. It left Jack with mortal wounds.
Oh, poor Jack.
His right forearm was amputated. He had broken bones. Like, his legs were crushed.
The impact.
His left arm was crushed. He had a hole blown out of the right side of his face.
Oh, God.
And when the upstairs tenants found him, he was still alive and conscious.
Oh.
He was awake. And he was trying, when the ambulance got there, he was trying to talk to them, but because half his face was gone. Oh. He couldn't. And at the hospital, he did die at the hospital 37 minutes after the explosion. He was 37 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of... numbers.
And there's a lot of theories as to how this happened. I mean, officially, it was an accident. They found morphine traced syringes in the area where, I mean, people knew he did drugs all the time. He was an alcoholic. He was, like, I mean, and if he was doing, like, heroin, who knows? And Ed Foreman, who worked with him since he was a kid, said he was known to have really sweaty hands. But a lot of the people who worked with him on the different projects said he was very meticulous about safety. But other people said in his home lab it was different, and that he was working in hazardous environment. And his wife, Marjorie, insists that he was murdered by the government for things that he knew. And they said that's not true. There are a lot of people who think that all these rituals he did in his house opened something up, and that's what happened.
Portal happened,
like
spirit demon magic.
Like the bad energy caused this explosion. Some people said that it started underneath the floor. Some people said no, it was something that he did. I mean, there's lots of theories.
Right.
But anyway, the thing that he loved killed him.
Well, he probably died doing what he loved, right?
You could say that.
He was only 37. Wow.
Yeah, some people think that something dark and evil came to collect his soul. The things that he was doing.
He did a lot of things.
When they told his mother, Ruth, that he was dead, she went into her room, swallowed a bunch of pills, and killed herself. This was within an hour of them telling her she was dead. Isn't that sad? I'm like, she's heartbroken. Her only son,
baby.
Yep.
Her baby. I got a baby.
And we're gonna go now that
hopefully he doesn't lead the life of Jack Parsons.
We've done Jack's story. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the Devil's Gate. Okay. The Devil's Gate Dam was built in 1912. It's also where the Colorado Street Bridge crosses the Arroyo Seco riverbed. This bridge has also been named a suicide bridge, and every year people jump off this bridge to die, to kill themselves.
I don't like that.
It's in 3 figures of the amount of people, in the hundreds.
Wow.
Hundreds of people have died from this bridge.
They've chosen that bridge as their...
So that's lots of bad energy, lots of sad energy.
Definitely.
Around this area. Not long after Parsons' death, the dam became a site for child murders and abductions.
What?
Yes. August 1956, 13-year-old Donald Baker and 11-year-old Brenda Howell were riding their bikes behind the dam and disappeared.
Oh, God.
There's a search. The only things they found were their bikes and Brenda's coat. 7 months later, the Bowman family were hiking in the wooded area behind the dam when their son, Tommy, who's 8 years old, disappeared.
Oh, no.
They said 1 minute he was there, and the next he was gone. He was never found. They were all walking together.
He just bleeped.
He
blipped.
He was there, and then he wasn't there.
Wow.
And they searched and searched and could find no trace of him.
Can't handle that.
Nope. And 3 years after that, a kid by the name of Bruce Creeman disappeared. I will say eventually, Mac Ray Edwards confessed to the murders of Donald and Brenda, the first 2 kids that went missing, among others. And he is thought to have murdered as many as 20 children there between 1953 and 1970.
Oh, God.
Not the Bowman kid or the other kid, but the first 2. Mm-hmm. He claimed them in his sick, twisted mind.
Gross.
He hung himself in his
cell.
Yeah, he died. In 2011, this is my last story about the dam. There's more, but I'm trying to keep this from being 4 hour long. So, in 2011, a man by the name of Bob Jessup was walking his dog at the dam when, as he was nearing where the gate is, where the stone is that looks like a devil, he heard an ear-piercing screech. And it unnerved him and the dog immediately cowered between his feet. He was just cowering. Scared? He was scared. He was between the man's legs. Aww. And it's just dusk. The sun is setting. And as he's looking into the shadows of the rock where the face is, he claims to have seen a creature that was white with skinny arms and legs and large bat-like wings climbing on the rock. Think Lovecraft. That type of creature. He said as he was frozen with fear, and his dog's cowering between his feet, the creature glanced up at him, screamed, and then climbed up over the rock, disappearing over the peak. And he says, "No, I have goosebumps on my arms.
I don't like it."
And he still has nightmares about this episode.
I would too.
And it's he's frozen. He is terrified, frozen with fear, and then this thing's him, and runs away, and he's just oh my God!
I would have pissed my pants.
He probably shit his pants.
I would.
I wouldn't tell anyone. But
I almost did right now.
And then he left. Bye. Never again. He still has nightmares.
And but he never went back there again. Nope. I'm not going there. I'm not adding that to my list, Margaret.
It's like, what did they do?
What did they open up?
What did they open up? All those rituals and
all the jacking off?
All that jizz.
All that jizz created a
horrible
ring demon.
Portal to hell! That's how you get it, with jizz.
Yeah, you. Oh my god.
This episode is not for children. In
No.
case you didn't know that. I should have warned you ahead of time. But yeah, we talked about semen and masturbation.
That was the whole thing was very intriguing.
Yes.
I was on the seat, edge of my seat the whole time listening.
Oh, good. Well, I mean, I knew about, like, I had this book about unusual places, and this dam came up, and I'm like, well, I can't really tell the story of the dam without telling the story of Jack first.
Oh, yeah, because you have to, like, the history behind it.
And then, like, I started learning about Jack, and I'm like, ooh, I never knew of him. And it's like...
No, me either.
History has kind of wiped him out because he was such a weird figure. Even as much as he did for science, they didn't like him. They didn't like the fact that he was so into the occult. He wasn't Christian. But honestly, CBS came out with a series in 2018. It was 2 seasons. 2018-19. It was called Strange Angel, and it's about him.
Is it who plays him?
A handsome guy. His name's Jack. Jack something.
Oh, because when I looked him up, for some reason, a picture of Ashton Kutcher popped up with it. So I was wondering if it was
the actor
him.
that plays Jack, his name is Jack.
Oh, okay.
If you type in Strange Angel, it'll bring you up the cast. I mean, obviously, it's fiction.
They took liberties, I'm sure.
It's based on actual... Strange on an actual person. I actually don't think the actor who plays him is as cute as
Jack Reiner.
Yeah. He's a nice looking guy. He's not as nice looking as Jack. I don't think.
Scrolling. Oh, yeah, I can see him playing.
Yeah, he looks very much like him, though.
He does look like him.
Very much.
Well, that's a good choice, I think. They did a good job.
Yeah, so now
I'm gonna have to watch that.
Me too. Like, I had never heard of it. I'm like, ooh, I need to go see this.
Me either.
It was in a bad time, 2018, 2019. It's like right before COVID.
Yeah.
So COVID
ruined everything for a lot of shows.
It ended a lot of series early because of lack of money and whatnot. So.
Interesting. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
I like that. Was a good one.
I think it was like science and
the occult and
we should do one. I would do one on Aleister Crowley, but like even like other podcasts I listen to that do ones on Aleister Crowley, I don't want to listen to them because he was hideous troll. He was a toad. The man who plays Crowley in this series is really nice looking, and Aleister Crowley was not at all. He looked like a toad.
Yeah.
Or a troll or something. He just is awful.
Look at me typing it in to look at his stupid face. Why am I doing it?
Aleister Crowley looks like how you'd think he'd look.
Yeah, I mean, he's hideous.
He's horrible.
Yeah, he is a toad man.
He looks like a toad. That's what leaders of cults look like. Toads.
Look at his stupid face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, dumb. So, that was good. I enjoyed that. Thank you. I'm gonna, Jack, look, we gotta post a picture. He's hot.
Yeah.
I would totally probably be enamored with him because he's weird.
Yeah, you should look up.
Now, when he started jacking off on things, I might have to walk out then. But until that point, I was sold.
Yeah, but the nitroglycerin thing.
Well, that's scary. However, a little hot.
A little hot. Literally.
Yes.
Like, I went on Wikipedia and I was looking up nitroglycerin and I'm like, I can't. That's way over my head. Like, they're describing how you make it. I'm like, okay. I know that when you're stirring, you have to stir it very slowly, and you have to add water to it, because if things get too hot, it'll explode. So you have to be so careful when you're mixing it, even.
Yeah.
And it can create this gas that explodes. I mean, it's just, like, horrible. I'm like, why would you want this in your house?
Why would you want to even use it, ever? But, I mean, he's smart.
He wanted to get to space. That was his whole goal, was to get to space. And honestly, without him and his friends...
Right.
Who knows if we probably would have gotten there, but maybe not.
Not as fast as we did.
But yeah, he was an innovative.
That's cool. He sounds like a cool dude. Yeah. He really does. Him getting mixed in with the whole Aleister Crowley, it was his downfall.
It was the time.
It was. He very much had a Lord Byron vibe to him, right? Did you feel that a little bit? Which I find hot. And it's terrible, because he's awful. But... he's a cool dude. I can feel like he would be a really cool dude. He just, was making very poor decisions.
Yeah.
When it came to things.
Not with his upstairs brain.
No, he was doing too many drugs.
Is what it was. Yeah.
If he would have maybe not done so many drugs, he would have been thinking more clearly and done more. And look at much more he could have done with science and advancement of things. if he would have...
Never should have been doing explosive shit at his house.
No. I mean, that was stupid. That was before he was on all the drugs and he was doing that. So, I mean, just pot. And
he was still was, it was when? It was the same time.
Yeah.
But he was, even when he was home, he was doing it on his porch.
Yeah.
And then when they made the commune, he was doing it there. And that's like when Aleister Crowley started to regret his decision. He made the dude tattoo 666 on his damn forehead and take a year-long trip in the desert by himself. Like,
that's crazy.
He wanted that guy to die.
What's that guy's name again?
It was
something Smith.
Wilford Smith.
Wilford Smith. Well, there's a lot of Wilford Smiths that come up.
Wilford Smith, Thelemic Church.
Wilford Talbot Smith.
Maybe.
He's wearing some kind of thing that L. Ron Hubbard wore, so I'm assuming this is a guy.
Yeah, but when I was reading it, I'm like, he was friends with L. Ron Hubbard? Oh my god.
I don't
like,
see...
It made a lot of connections. It's like...
Yeah.
Man, this feels like Scientology, and it's because that's where L. Ron Hubbard got all his ideas from. Was this
so L. Ron Hubbard not only has the most fucked up cult that's getting away with it.
Stole it from someone else.
He stole it from someone else. It's not even an original
Not only
idea.
did he steal their money, he stole their damn cult.
I know.
Their ideas.
Now, let me just say, the thought of a commune is pretty awesome to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Communes, I'm like, some of these cults, I'm like, I probably could get sucked right into that. I could see myself, to a point, getting sucked into stuff until they start jacking off on things. And then I'm out. Did not sign up for this. Not staying here for that.
No. I'm gone. Bye.
But, raising our own crops, sharing our own duties.
Raising your own animals for meat and sacrifice,
Yeah, that sounds fine. You start jacking off, though. I'm out. But, some of these cult leaders, too, if they look like Jack Parsons, you're like, oh, very charismatic.
It wasn't even, he technically wasn't even a leader. He was.
But I'm just saying in general, like, you see,
But I think Aleister Crowley saw him and saw,
what he could get from him.
Right. And that's really what it was. It's like, this dude is smart.
He's smart. He's handsome. He's charismatic.
Yeah, girls want to have sex with him.
And people are listening to what he has to say.
Because he's intelligent.
Yeah.
So, and that's really the trick. But he wasn't really... He did it, but he
was off the rails.
He was
off the rails. So he wasn't going to take it where he wanted it to be. Because he wasn't in on the... he wasn't in on the manipulation that Crowley was doing either. You know what I mean? He was doing because he thought, I can do this. Yeah.
Right.
Where Crowley is manipulating everyone.
Right.
So that's why when he started seeing this guy's off the rails and he's not in on this, so he's not going to do the things I want him to do because he's not manipulating people. He's just he's insane. And then he probably was like, oh, this is a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. Shouldn't have done that. Mm-hmm. But anyway, that was really cool.
Can you imagine? I think about this serious group of scientists that are doing experiments in rocket. They're like, we're getting ready to do this experiment. Oh, wait, I gotta do my ritual to Pan.
Hold on!
It just makes me giggle in my head.
Gotta go jack off on this tablet real quick.
And especially when you see him, he doesn't look like he'd do that.
No.
He's like, oh wait, hold on, I gotta do this ritual to Pan. And he's jerking off. It's part of the ritual. People are like, dude,
put that away!
Put that away.
He was like the Louis C.K. before his time.
I don't know if he did it that part in front of them,
okay.
But I mean, he's doing, he would have to do rituals to Pan before they would do the experiment. I guess it's people praying before
for a football game or something.
Guess.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has spirituality is personal, and I don't have anything against it as long as you're not spreading hate.
Exactly.
In the name of, I don't care what you practice. If you're a Satanist, if you're a Christian, if you're Wiccan, if you're Buddhist, I don't care.
Don't spread your DNA where people don't want it.
Yeah. Consensual things should be happening.
Only consensual DNA
and you
spreading.
Don't kill animals for it either. Just don't. Don't ritually kill animals.
I mean, they did eat them.
Out. Oh, they did?
Yeah, they used them for meat and blood sacrifice.
Well, I guess that's not. At least they ate it.
You're
killing cows anyway, so.
It's probably goats. There's probably goats and sheep and rabbits and chickens and stuff.
Yeah, which they're going to eat anyway. Well, that's not. See,
sacrifice them, use the blood, cook the animal.
Okay, well then I don't even have anything against that.
I'm not mad then. It's fine.
If you're going to eat it and make use of it, then that's okay. Because you're going to eat a hamburger anyway. What's the difference? If you killed it on a slab in your ritual, or if you killed it in a butcher shop, it doesn't matter.
I would vomit.
Well, yeah, you don't eat meat.
Yeah, but you would vomit too if you're sitting there.
Let me tell you right now. If I had to kill my own animal, I would be back to being vegetarian again. And like, if you told me today, from now on, you have to kill your own animals, I would be okay. I'd just be vegetarian.
I'm gonna go pick grass.
I'll just eat the grass.
I'm gonna eat the green apples off that tree and get the shits. Thanks.
Yeah. I couldn't do that. But, and it makes you kind of a hypocrite because you'll eat it, but you won't kill it. Like, if you're going to eat it, you should be able to kill it, but I can't. So.
That's why I don't.
And that's why I don't read a lot about the whole, how trees can talk to each other on the ground through the roots and stuff and all this communication.
But, picking an apple off a tree isn't like cutting down the tree.
Yeah, but I don't want to know about vegetables. If they can talk to each other and if they feel things. I don't want to know that. I can't start knowing that stuff. You're going to become a fruitarian. What's that? You don't eat anything?
Fruitarians don't kill plants either. They only eat things that can be picked off.
Oh, okay.
Like fruitarians eat apples, tomatoes, things that you can pick.
Pluck.
They wouldn't eat a carrot because you have to kill the plant.
I would have to become that because if I knew that everything had feelings, I would.
But even picking an apple would hurt, wouldn't it?
Yes, I would just have to eat air. I don't want to know.
I mow my lawn and I watch all the critters scatter. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm killing animals right now by mowing my lawn. And
let's just talk about lawn mowing. Let's talk about lawns in general. Do you know what lawns are a symbol of? Basically, rich slave owners and royalty who treated people terrible because people that lived peasant lives or poor people were working and didn't have because they were maintaining others' lawn. They didn't have lawns.
Right.
So it was a sign of status. So it's basically colonization is the reason why we have lawns. All lawns do are a waste of resources.
Oh, I agree.
If I wasn't going to get some kind of ordinance problem, I would never mow my lawn.
Yeah, my lawn, I mow it to the point where I have to go real slow or the lawn will more quick. Right. Because the grass is so long. But I tell you what, my lawn has been green all summer.
Oh, I bet it has.
Because I don't mow it very frequently. And when I do mow it, I mow it on as high up as it'll go.
I've been reading about like bringing back prairies. Urban prairies is what they're calling it. So people like turning the lawns into a natural habitat.
I want that.
I would love that idea, especially things that will help the bee population in your area. Like I totally want to take my backyard and just make it all that.
My side yard, down by the creek, I want to make paths in it, and then just plant wildflowers and let it go.
Yeah, just let. I also read too that clover, if you can get a lot of clover in your lawn, you don't have to do anything with it. Just clover will just be there, and the rabbits love clover; they'll eat it. So I'm all about that. I don't care about my lawn. I don't care. It doesn't have to be perfect. All that stuff means nothing to me because in my head, the more you read about the history behind lawns and what a waste they are, the more you want to be a rebel and never do it.
Because I don't have sidewalks, so to get from my house to my car, walking through knee-high grass is not fun in the morning.
You'd have to have just a path.
Yeah.
Like put cinder or put stones down.
I should put some
walking path.
I need to make a walking path. But it's like you can't just put stone down, you have to put like sand down and then
you gotta level it out
so
a little
that
bit.
It's like not gonna just go away.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a goal.
It's
a goal.
I don't know. You said lawn mowing, and I thought, what a waste lawn mowing is. It is. Waste of people watering their grass.
I don't water my lawn.
I don't water my lawn either. I'm like, if it's brown, it's brown. It's supposed to be.
If it's brown and dead, you don't have to mow it.
I want my lawn to look like a forest. I want a bunch of pine needles on it and nothing there.
Me too. I want to live.
Ferns.
I just want to plant a bunch of pine trees and just have a pine needle ground.
Ferns. Lilies. Like the
jewelweed, which are the touch-me-nots.
Yes.
Those are so much. My kids, they would stand out there all for hours pinching them. And after it rains, it's great because the pods get really big. And you just touch them and they explode. It's like I'm having explosions without nitroglycerin and black powder.
Oh. Anyway, that was a weird tangent, but there it was.
There's my story.
I liked it. So, you should make sure you're following us on Facebook and Instagram. Because we post our pictures and you'll get to see Jack Parsons, who I was just drooling over. So you want to see him.
Yes.
Plus the Devil's Gate head and all that stuff. We're going to see pictures of that, which is cool. And though you'll see that on Instagram and and Facebook, and you'll never miss an episode because it always posts to Facebook, and you can share our episodes with your friends on your Facebook page and all your socials, because the more you share us, the more people will listen.
Yes.
We love that.
If you want to reach out to us, you can send us a message through Facebook Messenger, or you can send us an email. Our email is thecousinsweird@gmail.com.
And you can message through Instagram also.
Yeah.
If you only have an Insta, as the kids say.
As the Insta, the IG.
Yeah. If you want to financially support our podcast, because podcasts cost us money, you could go to patreon.com/thecousinsweird. We have bonus episodes on there. If you sign up for $1 a month, you become a freaky friend. You get bonus episodes and a free sticker. And then if you really want to invest in us because you think we're super awesome, $5 a month, you're a freaky friend, and you get the same thing as you get Terrible Trender at $5.
Yes.
Freaky Friend at $1.
Terrible Trender at $5.
Yeah, so you get the same as a Freaky Friend, plus you get ad-free episodes, a yearly gift, and then you get to, we do like monthly
Meetups.
chats with our Patreons.
Yeah.
A live, like a Zoomed thing.
Yes.
So that's how you do that. And like we say all the time, the best way to support our podcast is to spread the word and tell people about it. So share.
And like us and rate us. All that fun stuff.
All the ratings that we get pushes us up in basically like the algorithm of the apps that you use. So it suggests us to other people.
Yes.
So that this is a good thing. It's like, it looks at what our genre is. And if other people are listening, like say you're a Morbid fan, right? You like Morbid.
We do. We love
Morbid.
Oh my God. I love them.
They really inspired us to
really
even want to do a podcast because we're like, I want to do that. Which is not true crime.
What it is I listened to them when I was going to school, and Morbid, a true crime podcast. And I really like their banter and their relationship. I'm like, they remind me of me and Connie, just because of they've known each other their whole lives.
Yeah,
basically.
So you have their own language almost.
I love listening to them because it's like, I don't know, I love the banter. And they're funny, and they're taking horrible topics and making them less horrible.
Yeah. I mean, we don't do true crime. We stay, because we're on more of the spooky, supernatural, history, bizarre stuff. Only because we think there's so many really good true crime ones out there.
And also, I don't want to research true crime. I just want to listen to other people.
Exactly, because I feel like I'll
want to immerse my brain in it.
I can't. And I give them all the credit. They do such a good job.
They really do.
But if you like Morbid, and you also like us, and you rate Morbid and rate us, then if someone else likes Morbid, it could suggest us to them. See how that works? So it kind of boosts us up when you rate us in the app.
Yes.
So you should follow us and rate us in those.
Another good app, another good podcast that I really like is the History Chicks, and they only talk about females in history.
Cool.
There's 2 ladies, and they talk about famous ladies, and it's pretty cool.
Well, if we're going to talk about things that we love about podcasts, another great podcast to listen to if you just like to laugh. The Bald and the Beautiful with Trixie and Katya, who Margaret and I are going to go see!
I know, this week.
On Thursday, when our Terrible Trend comes out, we're going to be sitting in Shays Theater in Buffalo with Trixie and Katya breathing their air, and I'm going to die. You don't know how much I love them. Oh my God. So excited.
Yes.
We'll take pictures and post them.
We will.
But I think that's all I got.
That's all I got. It's a wrap. Stay freaky.
Bye. Bye.